Good day, learners. It's wonderful to have you on another edition, another part of our learning. I believe you've been learning and learning has been interesting. We are going to be considering a topic, system development cycle in computer studies. In a way of introduction, for every software we use today, or a lot of technology that have evolved and has made our lives very easy today, they did not just happen like that. Likes of such technology, we have the ATM machines, which now we can actually get money without going to the bank. We also have the phones we use. We also have different softwares that are used in offices to ease the work of staffs. And we have different databases where information are saved and manual work are discarded. That is keeping manual files with a lot of documents. Some companies are keeping those ones apart now. Why? Because of technology. Technology has made a lot of things easy. Information technology have improved our lives and makes things very easy. But come to think of it, you would wonder, how did most of this technology came about? They did not just evolve. They went through a specific set of stages. They were built. They were not done carelessly. If not, we would not have this technology. And because of how important this is, following every step to ensure that the software or the technology is brought to reality, we are going to be seeing a topic titled System Development Cycle. And this is our outline. We'll be defining what is system development cycle. And secondly, we'll list the stages of system development cycle. And we'll also draw a system development cycle stages. And lastly, we'll describe briefly each of those stages. To start with, system development, that is definition, it represents a set of detailed and specific set of procedures, steps, and documents that are required for the development of an information system. And system development cycle, I can break it down to say system development on its own. Just system development is the process of defining, designing, testing, and implementing a new system. Then I could also call a cycle a set of events that are repeated. So system development is a procedure. You could see from the first definition, it is specific set of procedures. That means it has a beginning and it has an end. Every procedure is followed in detail. And we have step 1, step 2, steps 3, step 4, whereby step 2 cannot come without step 1. Step 1 has to be executed before step 2 comes in, and we go on and on and on. Then eventually step 1 becomes the input for step 2. Step 2 becomes the input of step 3. Then that's how we go step by step. And making it a cycle, that means it could be repeated. So a lot of softwares, a lot of phones that are made are the repeated technology, like the Nokia we are using. It went through repeated technology, and other phones. We have a new brand today, tomorrow we have a different brand. This is what the system, most of these companies follow to ensure that new technology are brought in. The processes involved in system development cycle, that's SDC. To develop an information system, this actually takes the following processes. Number 1, we have the preliminary study stage. And we have number 2, we have the feasibility study stage. Number 3, we have the investigative stage. Number 4, we have the analysis stage. Number 5, we have the design stage. Number 6, we have the implementation stage. Number 7, we have the maintenance stage. And last but not the least, we have the system study review stage. except for some points you will get and you take a pause. But eventually, for continuous innovation, we have to go through round the circle on and on for newer and more beautiful technologies. So we would explain each of these stages, and I would call you to, I would need you to actually give me your attention so you understand each of these stages, as they are very, very important to you. The number one stage, we have the preliminary study stage. To bring this down to earth, or to make it more simpler for you, my learners, automation, we know automation in computer language simply means just changing a manual way of doing things, or computerizing a manual way of doing things. When something is computerized, it is what? Automated. So for clarity, just like our ATM, we know we are used to going to banks and forming queues, but our ATM has automated the manual way of paying in money or receiving money from what? The ATM. From our bank, from the bank desk, from with using teller, papers, and so on and so forth. But our ATM has automated what? That process. So to bring this, I'll be using an example so we would understand these stages more clearly. You know, as a student, we use registers to take our attendance. So to explain each of these stages, I'm going to be using our register. We hope that at the end of the day, we'll be able to explain how to automate our student record system. For a form master to take attendance, he uses what? The manual register. So take, for instance, we want to automate, and we need to follow each of these steps to realize our goal. The number one stage is the preliminary stage. The preliminary stage, this stage establishes the intended goal of the project and the available cost from the owner and the system. This stage seeks to define what the system will do. Simply, this stage is interested, or is what? Targeted at defining the goal of the project. For example, just like I said, the goal of our project is what? Is to design an automated student register. An automated student register. It must be clear, this is our goal. That we don't want the form master to come and say, Ezekiel Anthony, present, sir. Abdul Muhammad, present, sir. We want to have an automated system whereby information about students can just be taken, and automatically the form master doesn't have to come to the class to call the register, but will have the accurate information of what? Students. So that's what the preliminary stage does. It defines the goal, which is what? For our own example, to what? To create an automated system, student register. Our second step, which is the feasibility study stage. This is a study carried out before development of the system in order to establish that the proposed system is possible, practicable, and can serve a useful purpose. At this very feasibility study stage, it seeks to actually address, is this project we are intending to embark on achievable? You know, for you to venture into anything, you need to know whether it's achievable. And that's when you start making feasibility studies, finding out, for instance, if I'm taking, for instance, Remy College, we want to design an automated system, you discover that we will come to terms with this very reality. Is there any school that have used this automated system? You know, it's not something that is very common. So the feasibility studies would ask, which other school have developed such a system? Do we have schools that are using an automated student register? We would ask these questions, go to such schools, and possibly see how they came about their system, knowing that what? This very project we are about to embark on is possible. And even if it has not been done before, then you should know that you're starting a project that nobody has done. So that's what feasibility stage seeks to address. It seeks to address whether this very project is possible for us to achieve or not. Then we have the investigative stage. At this stage, the project goals are restated into specific functions and operations of the intended system. It is done by analyzing end users' information needs, how and when he or she wants. So at this very stage, the investigative stage is establishing how do your client, or how is that system we intend to build, how is it going to look like? When we have gone to other schools to inquire, how did you come about this very software? How did you come about this innovation? And so once they inform us, we get to know. And we also, who are intending to build that system, will get to ask ourselves this question: how do we want this system to look like? When do we want it to be out? And how, or how much? It also considers cost. You also have to look, is this also achievable in terms of cost? So this very stage, investigative, finds more details. And just like we said from the reading, the goal is restated so that, because the echo would be what? More on how to achieve the goal. Then we have the analysis stage. The goal of this stage is to determine where the problem is and attempt to fix the system. These steps involves breaking down the system into different segments to analyze the situation. The users are engaged so that the defined requirements can be defined or achieved, in other terms. So at the analysis stage, you bring in your client the more. The user is brought to the picture, because at this point, the user has to explain how he or she wants the software to look like. He wants this to be this button to be here, and so on and so forth. He wants, by the end of this, okay, our automated machines will look like when students are able to put their thumbprint, because we're going to use possibly something like a thumbprint technology by them, because every child has his or her thumbprint. Once you attach the thumbprint, it uniquely identifies the student. So at this very stage, the analysis stage, it analyzes all of these things. How would the hardware look like? Where will it be placed? How would it recognize? So the user is brought into what? The picture, so that he or she can explain how these things would be. Just like the word analysis is an in-depth to define what the system would look like. Then we have the design stage. The analysis stage becomes an input for the design stage. At our design stage, while the end user have defined how he or she wants the interface to look like, how the pictures would look like, how the buttons would look like, at the design stage, it is left now for the technological people, or in code, or let me say the developers, who would actually take out this time to, after understanding what the user or the client wants, he or she would now design something. There are softwares we come up with, design how the GUI would look like. That's the graphical user interface. How, when someone launches into, maybe if it's a browser, how would the browser look like? Okay, how would our interface look like for students? How would they come in? How would the entire thing about the picture is designed. The programmer or the developer arrange these things for the benefit of the user, so that he or she, the client, will see this is how this would look like. This is how that would look like. And while all of these interfaces are built, because it's very important, the design stage is almost the last step that will be taken before proper implementation. So therefore, every definition of how the software would look like, or whatsoever technology you're innovating would look like, it's important that at the design stage is well defined, so that the implementation becomes easy and to avoid so much repetition or taking the project backward. Then we have the implementation stage, which is where the programmers, the system developers, the database administrators come into play. After everything has been designed, is a coding time. For so many students that understand what coding is just, we are translating everything we have said into what? Computer readable languages. So those codes would tell the computer what the computer would do, how the computer would do, and what this very design, or the pictures we saw, bringing them to reality, bringing an interface that could be interactive between the user and also other clients. and also possibly customers. And at this stage now, we have established, because I told you we are making use of our automated register. At this point, we've designed, we said the hardware will be like this, and it's going to be like this, and we'll set up how the software will look like, take up students' attendance, save the attendance. If they come late, to be able to save the attendance, it will record with the time, and maybe at the end of the day or at the end of the week, the teacher will be able to have a cumulative of students or cumulative of students' attendance and interpret it even better than using the manual. Then we have the seventh stage, that's the second to the last stage, the maintenance stage. Maintenance stage is also very, very important because there's a saying that says easier said than done. Normally, a lot of softwares have gone into what? Extinction, because people came up with innovations, and after developing, they could not maintain those very softwares. They could not maintain the project, and you discover that it's falling. So maintaining a software or an information technology system, it's important that what the builders to take maintaining stage so important, very vital, that this software that has been built should be properly checked and ensure that it's functioning rightly, and the maintenance stage would ensure that everything is working and is up to date, so that it's not going, we're not going to lose what? The information about the software that has been designed after going through 6 processes and lose it. It's not actually a good one. So maintenance stage is very, very important. Then finally, we have the system study review stage. This stage calls for evaluation of the existing system to see if there is need for upgrade and replacement of the system. This very review stage is also very, very important, and that's how most of our new technological phones, laptops, and so many machines, it's like an upgrade. When you're using a phone and all of a sudden it has only Bluetooth, and now we are telling us you can use other applications, you can make it do this, it is moving from 3G to 4G, and so on. So many other more fanciful and more effective technology are what infused into the software. That is what happens at this very review stage. The software that had been will be reviewed, and a better one will be made to serve what? A better function. And that is a circle. From this point, if it's a new technology, we go back to stage 1, and that's how it goes in circle, and technology only becomes better. In developing a system, it's important that we go through all of these processes. And I encourage you, my students and my learners, we can see that everything globally, the world has become a global village. And people are actually involved. The academic sector is becoming computerized. The financial sectors are becoming computerized. Even doctors now, a lot of softwares are coming up to meet up with the medical challenges around. So I encourage you, I challenge you, instead of watching a lot of movies with your laptop, start coding, make yourself relevant, and start developing softwares for your country. You can develop a game. Instead of importing or downloading games, you can develop your game software and work on it. You can develop a software that can do a lot of things. So I encourage you to take advantage of ICT and work and do your best. In case you have any difficulty, you can always contact us and we'll show you the way. So I'm encouraged, and I believe you have learned. And I'll be calling on my colleague, Mr. Shamsuddin, to come and round up this very session. Thank you, and God bless you.
Hello, my wonderful students. You are welcome to another segment of this presentation. My name is Shamsuddin Kasim. I'm standing here to give a quick recap on what my colleague, Mr. Ezekiel, have just presented. Students, this is a very nice topic picked by my colleague, system development life cycle. Today, if you look at the technology of today, things begins and continue to change from primitive to modern worlds. And that is why today we are having this particular topic in order to solve this problem. My colleague have defined this content. He has said the stages so far, And the first stage he has said is the preliminary stage. And quite alright, this stage tends to be the plan stage. This is where all the problem is being defined, and this is where all the objective is being set in order to achieve at the end of the program. Mind you, this SDC, it can be equally called as software development cycle, and that is why it has stages. After these preliminary stages, the next stage is the feasibility study stage. At this stage, all the planned activities now will be manipulated, will be now drawn, and that is where the items will be sought out and ready for analyzation. Then the next stage is the analysis stage, and this is the stage whereby all the planned work, the goal, the objective being stated will now be analyzed, and it will be ready for what? Design. The next stage is the design stage. At this design stage, the plan work, the feasibility study stage, the analysis stage will now come into design. At this stage, the design work will start, and it is done by the developer. The developer will now begin to design the work and then move for implementation. At this implementation stage, this is where the software or whatsoever that is being designed will be implemented. And before the implementation stage, there should be testing, and that is where the program will be tested and then move for implementation. Then the next stage is the maintenance stage. This is where all the errors will be detected. This is where all the upgrades will be done at this stage, and that is why we call it maintenance. The debugging and what have you will be done at this stage. And the last stage, quite all right, is the system study review, and that brings to the end of the system development cycle.